Hi, everybody. My name is Zephyr, and I am the Director of Product Impact and Client Success at Rainforest Connection. Super excited to be here, and thanks so much, WILDLABS, for hosting us, and really looking forward to doing this talk today and really just getting to know the community better. So I'm pretty new in this role at Rainforest Connection. Marconi is also here with me as well. He's a scientist here at Rainforest Connection, and he's been in this field for quite some time. I've been at Rainforest Connection myself for about 1.5 years. And so I'm on the product side of things, and then recently have moved more into like more of a client success role to really get to know what everybody is looking for in this community, and making sure that the tools that we're going to build and continuing to build are going to meet the needs of everybody in the community. So I'm really excited to be here because this is just a great opportunity to really get to know everybody in the community better, and to share a little bit about what we're doing at Rainforest Connection. So just a little bit about us in case you're not sure who we are. So Rainforest Connection has been around since 2013. We're a nonprofit tech startup. And basically, if you haven't heard about us, we are focused on protecting vulnerable ecosystems around the world by providing solutions for halting illegal logging and other illegal activities, as well as focused on biodiversity monitoring. And so we have a lot of really exciting stuff going on here at Rainforest Connection. About 6 months ago, we merged with the makers of Arbimon. So now we have this science team. We have a chief science officer, and Marconi is on our team now. And you've probably heard of Arbimon, which is probably why you're here. But Arbimon is a cloud-based analytics tool for analyzing audio. And we, as part of that kind of partnership, we have made Arbimon free so that it's more accessible to a lot more people, so that more people are able to take advantage of the platform. So just overall, I'm just going to kind of share a little bit about everything we have here at Rainforest Connection. I'm not going to get into all the different technologies and solutions that we have to offer, but we have a lot of really exciting stuff going on here at RFCx. And really our goal here is to really help solve the problems and gaps that exist with conservation acoustic technology. So we really see that there's a lot of opportunities for us to help bridge some of those gaps between the process of going out to the field and actually collecting the data, to actually getting that data ingested into a cloud-based platform. And then from there, what are you going to do with that acoustic data? You want to analyze it. So what kinds of analytical tools do you have at your fingertips to use to be able to analyze that data? And then from there, like, can you actually visualize that data in a way that really makes sense to you, that you're able to really derive insights and conclusions from that data? So really looking at things like soundscape analysis, for instance. And of course, today our focus is really on pattern matching. So so that's going to be one of the tools that we're going to really focus on today. And then, hopefully in the future, we'll be able to get into some of these other kind of more exciting, also just as exciting products and tools that we have to offer you as well. So, so just in general, one other quick thing to mention is we recently, as a kind of an example of how we are working to connect all of the gaps between the field technology, the collection of data from the field, and getting that data into a system like Arbimon. Just an example of that, we've also partnered with the makers of AudioMoth, which I'm sure everyone here is quite familiar with, open acoustic devices. And really that goal is to really help make the deployment of AudioMoths more simple and easier to use. So as we kind of go on the next few months, we're really just excited to continue to share updates with the whole community as to exciting stuff that we're working on, and really helping to support everyone here. So looking forward to just hearing from you, and as we continue to iterate on all of our different products, as we continue to iterate on Arbimon, really just looking forward to hearing from the community to see how we can continue to meet everyone's needs, and how we can make this whole process as seamless and streamlined as possible. So, all right, so I'm going to just quickly turn this over to Marconi to just offer a little bit more information about how we've used, how he and the science team, and just in general, how Arbimon can be used to monitor biodiversity. So, so Marconi, if you'd like to just take it away.
Hello, everyone. So yeah, I'm Marconi. I'm a tropical ecologist at Rainforest Connection. I'm currently based in Puerto Rico, and I have been working and using acoustic monitoring for, well, almost 12 years now. And most of the time, like most of my studies focused on extracting information from the audio recordings, mainly presence and absence data, detection and detection data, and combining that information with the species distribution models. But actually, we can use that information for different kind of analyses. We can use for analyze species richness, species composition, species distribution. And here, just to give you some examples of the studies and projects that we have conducted in the last few years. Most of those studies have been already published. And so you can see that we can use passive acoustic monitoring, more specifically RFCxArbimon, to acquire information about rare, endangered, and endemic species. We also have using passive acoustic monitoring to evaluate the impact of mining and gas exploration on bird and frog community, also to evaluate the impact of forest certification on bird community in the Peruvian Amazon. And more recently, most of our work is, like I said, like combining acoustic monitoring and species distribution model. And more recently, we have been working with trying to understand the impact of climate change on species distribution, trying to track species range due to climate change, and also to see how the always suitable areas for birds and frogs relates with the protected areas in tropical forests. And yes, thank you, Zach. And here, just to give you like a brief, an overall view of how the pattern matching work. First of all, we usually deploy like a bunch of recorders in the field. And with the pattern matching, as you will see pretty soon, you just need one example of the call of the species, a call or a song, to detect more, to detect the species in your recordings. And you will see with the RFCxArbimon, you can have this grid that will display the output, the results of the pattern matching. So it is super easy to decide if the species is present or absent using this grid. And then the next step is to acquire the detection and detection data, the presence and absence data from different sampling sites. And that information per se is very useful. You can use to create some maps, but also we usually combine that information with environmental variables such as forest type, humidity, temperature, to get more an in-depth knowledge about the biodiversity. And we can, for example, build these maps, these species distribution maps, using the data from the pattern matching approach. And I think that we should go directly to RFCxArbimon now.
All right, sounds good. Okay, yeah, perfect. Okay, thanks, Marconi. That was great. Yeah, so thanks for giving just a kind of an overall overview of really the huge benefits that pattern matching can bring. And so the goal now is to basically jump right into to RFCxArbimon itself and start going through how to actually use pattern matching. So as Marconi mentioned, what we are doing in pattern matching is really taking a snippet of audio and finding all the matches that one snippet of audio has with all the other the audio in a playlist. So as we go through this, I want to make sure that I'm really excited to share this with you guys, but I also want to make sure that I'm able to gauge like how quickly or how slowly to go through this process with everybody. So feel free to ask questions as we go along. Feel free to jump in if you want me to explain something a little bit differently. I really want to make sure that, one of the things about RFCxArbimon, so RFCxArbimon is a really powerful platform and it can do so much, but there's definitely a bit of a steep learning curve when you first kind of come in and try to understand how to use some of the analytical tools. So it took me a little bit to really understand how to use pattern matching. There's the random forest model. There's so many, there's soundscape analysis. There's all these great things you can do in Arbimon, but like I said, there is a bit of a steep learning curve. So I really want to make sure to go through this as slowly and comprehensively as possible. So feel free to stop me as I go through this. So, because my goal is really to help everybody understand how to use this tool.
Just to note, so guys, if you have questions, just drop them in the chat, and Tatiana or I will find a spot to call on you. And when you're dropping a question, just note if you've got a microphone so we can let you ask the question or know if we need to articulate it for you. Right.
Great, thank you. Yeah, perfect. So as Marconi mentioned, so the goal of pattern matching is really to take a snippet of audio, a small snippet of a call, a species call, some sort of a species call that you're studying, and to take that and then run that against all the audio in a particular playlist. So if you're looking to see how many times that species makes that call in a specific playlist of recordings, this is a way to be able to easily get to a place where you can then review all the results of those matches that show up, and kind of Marconi shared that grid. And so we're going to go through step by step to show you how to get to that place where you can actually review that grid. But the first part of that is making sure that you first create a playlist of recordings that you actually want to run that snippet over. And so the first part of this I'm going to share is really how to create a playlist in Arbimon. And so just as an example, so this is a big project that has a ton of recordings, so 234,000 recordings in it. So this is a big project, and we are going to just go over to so we're going to the data tab here in Arbimon and the recordings tab. And so this assumes that you've already gotten a lot of audio into Arbimon, and you basically from here are just looking to create a playlist from those recordings. So the filters tab is up here. So if you just click on the filters button here, you'll be able to filter your recordings to specifically get to whatever group of recordings you really want to run your snippet of audio over. So in this case, I'm just going to look at, so this is sites. So that's like one site corresponds to one audio moth deployment spot. So in this situation, we have all kinds of different sites here that we've deployed one audio moth for each of these sites. So I happen to know that Carite 52 is the one that I really want to do some additional analysis of. So that's why I'm choosing Carite 52 here. But you could select, as many of these audio moth sites as you'd like, just based on what kind of a playlist you want to generate. One thing to mention with pattern matching is that it's really important that the first one you do is on a smaller playlist of audio. So you really want to try it out on like a smaller subsection of your audio. So like in this case, I'm going to do Carite 52. I'm going to search for just one particular day in 2019. So I'm going to do March 17th because I happen to know that there's just kind of a group of audio that I really want to look at to see where that species exists in this subsection of audio. And what I can do here is just apply filters, and then I can save to a playlist. And again, so I'm going to just call this Carite 52 V2. And again, the reason why we want to run it over a smaller subsection of audio is because if we run it over a huge, so like you can see, this is only 144 recordings. So that's a pretty small playlist. Probably the best idea would be to run it over a playlist of maybe about 1,000 to 1,500 audio recordings. And Marconi was kind enough to create a playlist that I'm going to actually use in this demo. So we're going to use that one instead, because this one's just probably too small. So it's not really going to yield any like valuable information for us. The disadvantage of running something like over maybe 200,000 recordings is that it's going to take a long time for the job to run. And we really want to see if the snippet of audio that we selected was even a good enough representative sample of that species call. So, and you'll see a little bit later in the demonstration why that is. But just to kind of explain the importance for now of really doing like a test data set of your, the first time you run a pattern matching job, you really want it to be like a small playlist of maybe about 1,000 to 1,500 recordings. All good so far? Makes sense?
Yes. Steph, can I interrupt you?
Yes, please.
Sorry, Stephanie.
No. I was just going to say Rob had a question that's popped up if he wants to jump in.
Oh, it was just a quick question on the pattern matching. You said you were using a single sample. I mean, even if it's really good, what technique are you using that's going to get a fairly accurate pattern match on everything else?
Right. I think the Zephyr is going to show how to create and select a good template, but I just want to go a little bit behind and explain a little bit the usefulness of using the playlist. Because, for example, if you are interested in a nocturnal species, you don't need to search that species in all the diurnal recordings. So you can select a diurnal or a nocturnal playlist. This is just like a tip for you guys that I usually use a lot. And also like Zeph said, it can take a little longer to run the pattern matching with a large playlist, but actually the pattern matching runs pretty quickly. So when Zeph says that it can take some time, she's talking about like, I don't know, 5 minutes. And that's the time that it takes to analyze like a huge playlist of, I don't know, like hundreds of thousands of 1 minute recording. And just to, and I think what I'm going to say right now, it's related to the Robert question, but I think that Zeph is going to attack that question a little later. But the idea of using like a small playlist is because you are going to select a template, and there's many different ways to create that template. And so sometimes you just want to make sure that the template is working correctly. So that's why you need to use like a small playlist. So just to make sure that you have a good template. For some species, like species that have like a long song or a long call, you can have different ways to draw the template. And I stop here and go ahead, Zeph.
Yeah. No, those are all important pieces to mention. Yeah, and I just wanted to show here, I forgot to mention that here you can include in the filter specific hours that you want to look at. So if you did only want to look at diurnal or nocturnal periods of time, you would be able to specify that here in the hours. And Rob, I think that your question will be answered as we go through the actual next few steps. So maybe we could just hold off on answering it exactly until I just show you, because I think it will make a lot more sense when I actually show you what it actually is doing.
I'm also going to make a suggestion in terms of facilitation. I think we hold questions to the end unless it's super urgent and you want a clarification. Can you use talking to everyone? Can you please use the hands up thing in the as a participant, you can put your hand up, or just say I have an urgent question. Otherwise, we're going to collate everything and run just to help the flow. Sound good to everyone?
Okay.
Cool.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah. Cool. Okay, so then the next piece here is we want to create a template. So I'm going to just take us directly to the recording that I am most interested in showing. This is the one recording that I think has some pretty great calls on it, so that we'll be able to create a good template. So this is using the visualizer part of Arbimon. And so this is the specific recording. This is the March 17th, 2019 time period. And as you can see, there's some really cool acoustic activity here in the spectrogram. And we already have created one template here of the Nisospingus. But I'm going to just show you how to create, if we were to create another one. And basically what we would do here is we would go to down here where it says templates, pattern matching analysis. We would just want to click here, and then we would just draw a little box over the exact call that we wanted to study. So I'm going to just, hold on, get this right here. And Marconi, feel free to jump in here and help me if there's anything I should do this any differently. Oops. Not sure.
Right. One thing that I usually recommend is increasing the gain, not the gain, sorry. Zoom in a little bit in the recording stuff, so that you can really create a tight box around the call that you wanted. A little bit on the time frequency, I think that will be helpful, so that you can get.
Oh, like this?
Right. Exactly. So in that way, you can really see the call and make sure that you are grabbing the call that you want.
Okay. For some reason. There we go. Okay. Okay. Cool. So is that okay, Marconi?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. I'm not the scientist here, so I am just on the software side here. So now we're just gonna call it Niso Spingus ZG. So the idea right here is to just we're creating the template, we're creating the name for it. We're selecting the species sound, which is something that we have already attached to this project in RFCxArbimon. And so this species sound is here. If you're not sure how to attach species to your project, that's something that's explained in our support center. So if you go to support.rfcx.org, there's a whole article on how to actually add a species to your project. And you can also reach out to our support team anytime, and we can help direct you on how to do that if you're not sure. But basically, I'm not going to go into that here because we want to actually get to understanding how pattern matching works. So I'm going to just create the template now. So I've created the template. And the next step here is let me just show you the actual.
Wait a minute.
Go ahead.
Yep. Just a minute. Can you zoom out a little bit?
Yes.
Just to try to answer that question. So how do I know that that's a potential call for creating a template, like a good template? First of all, I really want a good signal with very low background noise, right? We want that, that the signal should be strong. And also, we don't want any overlap with any other species. And the second thing to pay attention is, right now we have a lot of notes, right? Like a large song. So there's many different ways in which Zeph, for example, can create this template. She can select just one note, and she can use 2, 3, all the call. And that is going to, you need to know a little bit of your species, or if you don't know that species, you need to try to understand a little bit of their call to really make a good template. And also, like Zeph said, you can try it out different templates, and that's why you need to use a small playlist, because you can create a template with just one note and try this with a small playlist, and then use 2 notes and apply with another small playlist and make sure which one is getting more detection.
Yeah, thank you, Marconi. Yeah, those are really important points about creating a really good template. That's definitely an important part of this, is making sure that the template you create is good. So let me just show you also, if you go to the data tab here and go to templates, that's where you're going to actually see the list of all the templates you've created for your project. And so we call this the template view. So if you come here and you want to sort by date created, you can do that, and then it's going to show you, it's going to show you. Okay, so this is the template that I just created here. So I just created it December 17th, 2020, which is today. So you can see it here. If you really don't like that template anymore or it doesn't work for you, you can always delete it. You can see these are all the other templates that we've created for this project. There's quite a number of really cool calls here. Just a quick side note, if you ever want to go directly to the recording for the template that you've created in the past, you just click on this cool little view in visualizer button here. So you would just, the same thing for this one. If I want to do that, I would just click this and I could open the link in new tab and it would show me that exact recording for that the template came from. So just kind of a quick side note there on how you can actually do that as well. Anything more about the template view, Marconi, that I should mention?
No, not really.
Okay, cool. All right, so
Just
now
before we go
yep.
on, there was just a question Carly had around, she just commented that she doesn't think any of her calls have completely no noise. And wouldn't you want to call with some background noise as a template if the rest of the recordings will have background noise as well?
Sorry, can you repeat, please? I
Carly, do you want to jump in and ask it?
Hi.
Hi.
So just I have like a lot of questions, but for this one, so you can make like a template list or a training set of multiple templates, and if you like, my calls don't exist without background noise because it's a rainforest and there is that doesn't exist. And so wouldn't, like, I'm using in my data set, in my training data set, like clips of background noise and calls that have background noise on top of them, because wouldn't you want the pattern matching or whatever model you're using to be able to account for that? Like, if your template is a no noise call, and no noise calls do not exist in the rest of your like test recordings, right, because there's like a bunch of birds and stuff calling over the lemurs that I study.
Right. Well, when I say background noise, what I was trying to say that the ideal template should not have overlapping calls of other species. If you have like background noise, that's not a problem. And like you said, like if all your recordings have background noise, so that's okay. That because the template will be able, like the template will consider that all that information. But again, the template, the pattern matching is not an AI tool. Also, that means that we are not training the data. We are not, like providing recordings with background and without background noise to really train the algorithm. We do have an algorithm. We do have the random forest model, and with the random forest model, that's the idea. What you just said, like you need to provide different combinations, different, like you want to have a very good sample of all the biodiversity and the sounds and the sites and the animals. But right now with the pattern matching is just a cross correlation. So you just need to have a signal that you are sure that belong to your species, right? And also that you don't have overlapping calls at the same time. Is that okay, Carly?
Yeah, and just to add to that too, because I mean, basically, Carly, I know that you've done a lot of work on the random forest model as well. So the pattern matching is really designed to instead really take the call, the small like snippet, and look for this exact pattern in your other parts of your audio. So it's really just going to be looking for this exact sound signature in your other recordings. So regardless of if there's any background noise or anything with it, it's just searching for matches of this
and
exact.
Is it's cross-correlating the pixels. That's like the underlying mechanism, because I think that was the question before. Was like what technique? So it's cross-correlation.
It's a cross-correlation. Yes.
Yep. Correct. Yeah. So like Marconi said, unlike the random forest model, which is actually, machine learning, like the model's actually learning over time. Pattern matching is just literally just using cross-correlation to search for matches. And it was something that we originally built as a way to get better training data for the random forest model. But then we found that it's so useful in of itself that it's ended up just being a tool that we just use in general instead of even having to use the random forest model, because it's so powerful and it allows us to just find those matches and be able to analyze that data further by exporting the data and using like another, like R or some other statistical platform. So it's ended up becoming just a powerful tool in of itself.
Yeah, and Carly, we have been using pattern matching in Amazonian environments and also in Sumatra with a lot of background noise. And I can assure you, you can easily have like a good template for you without overlap of other calls in your recordings. You will definitely have some good templates in there.
Okay, great. Shall we kick on?
Yeah, sounds good. Cool. All right, so let's do this now. So now we're going to go to the pattern matching tab, which is here under analysis, and we are going to create a new pattern matching job. So these are all the previous pattern matching jobs that we've run, but we are going to create a new one now. So we're going to name it based on the species. So the Nisospingus, I'm just going to call it ZG. So searching the template is what we just created. So that snippet of audio is what we call a template in Arbimon. So there's a number of different templates that you can choose from. I'm going to go ahead and choose this one here because it's got the best pattern there. For the playlist, I'm going to grab the playlist that Marconi created for me yesterday, which was called the Nisospingus Workshop, because that one has about 1,000 recordings in it. Matches per recording, I'm going to just say 1. So that just means how many calls do you want, how many matches per, just matches per recording. So if you wanted to see maybe 3 matches per recording, it's going to reduce the number of results that you see. So I'm going to just keep it as 1, because then that's just going to search for 1 match per 1 minute recording in my audio. Matches per site, I'm just going to leave that as no limit. Because right now I just want to see as many options as we can get. For threshold, we recommend using like 0.2 as a starting point, because if it's too high, then you may end up not seeing results. So you may end up missing quite a few real calls. And so we recommend just keeping it at about like 0.2, at least for the first pattern matching job that you run.
Or 0.1, and maybe in that example, in that example, that maybe you can use 0.1 because that we don't have many other species in the same frequency of the species. So using 0.2, we will detect all the like 100% of detection. So just to give a little flavor in the results. Okay, great. Anything else we should mention about the threshold, Marconi? No, just to emphasize what you just said, like using a low threshold is, when you use a low threshold, you will enable the pattern not to, like to be more, not to be so fixed on that template. So it can detect some variations, and as a consequence, as a result, you will end up with a lot of false positives, but at the same time, you are making sure that you are detecting pretty much all the calls and all the songs from that species. Yeah, and the nice thing too is because it presents the results in like a grid view, as you're going to see in a second, it allows you to be able to easily go through and mark and see if the call is indeed present and mark it as present or absent.
So even if you do get, like, say you get 50% false positives or something, it's so easy to go through and just mark them as no, as you know, absent. So it just allows you to ensure that you're not missing any any calls in your recordings. Okay, so I'm gonna create our pattern matching job, and while we allow that to run, so just real quick, if you go to jobs and you can go to the last update, you'll be able to see the status of your job running here. So I'm going to just show you a few things while we wait for it to run. So while we wait for that one to run, I'm going to just show you a different pattern matching job that that has some really cool results. So this was a similar, you know, the same call, right? The Nisospingus again, but this was over a larger playlist. So, oh wait, no, this is the same one.
No, this is pretty much the same result.
This is the same result.
That's okay. Yeah, that's just
there was
but that's a good example.
There was one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is one you wanted me to show, Marconi. Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah. So if you just scroll down first, you're going to see that there's quite a few, you know, here that look like to me like false positives. I'm not a scientist, so I might I'm just kind of showing in general. So like this or this, you know, these all look like they could be direct matches. But the powerful thing here is you'll see the little snippet here that you can look at visually, but you can listen to the recording here by clicking play audio. So you'll be able to hear the little audio that shows here. So you can indicate just from here if it's present or absent. Maybe you can tell just by listening. Or if you need to, you can open the link in a new tab. You can open the visualizer, and then from the visualizer page, you can then be able to, like Marconi mentioned before, zoom in, zoom out, increase the gain, be able to listen to it more carefully, more closely. There's a lot of options here. You can increase the gain of the recording. So if you're not sure if maybe was that the call or was that not the call, you can increase that and then play it so that it's just way more distinct. So that's just a kind of a powerful way that you can check and see. And then when you do go back to it and you say, okay, no, this definitely is not actually the recording, or sorry, is not the call, you'll go here and you can validate as not present. So that allows you to, I'm just going to click it so you can see it. So it puts a yellow X on here and you'll see, okay, this is definitely not an actual real result here. And you could quickly go through here and do the same for these others. I'm going to just unclick this so that I don't mess up with Marconi's data. So let's see. So Marconi, was there another one that had all the the actual ones that were present already? Because
yeah,
this one
you can already present. Okay. Yes, you can go back in pattern matching, but I don't know if you want to show the filters first, because if you use the score, it will be easy to show.
Okay, show the
the
score. Oh yeah. Okay, got it. Okay, yeah. So good point. So if we go over here to the filters and you want to see by score, so this is going to show the ROIs ranked by score. So this, as you can see, these are much closer. I mean, it's pretty obvious that these are very close to this original pattern. So it's detected all of these different species calls and other recordings that are extremely close to this original pattern. So it's nice because it's going to rank order them. You'll be able to then go here and you can see, if you just hover over it, you can see what the score is. So 0.997 was this one. You can see this one as 0.362. So as you kind of go down, you can see that the score goes down. But that's just a really useful way of being able to quickly pull up the best results. Then you could go through and you could just mark all of these if you wanted to as present.
And one way to do that, for example, in that page, for example, that we are sure that a species is there in pretty much all the detections, you can hit in select right next to validate and select all, and submit as present. So in that way, you don't need, like to click on all individual rows, and that will make your life so much easier, I assure you.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. That's great. Right. And then the nice thing too is now that you have the filter here, if you wanted to go to like score per site, it's going to show you each site individually. And then you'd be able to quickly see which ones are positive for each site. So it's basically showing you like the highest scores per each individual site. And then a few other ones you could do is best per site per day. So that's just another one that you could check on. There's also the best per site just in general. So there's just some powerful filters here on the right side. Were there any other filters that I should mention, Marconi?
You can also show, for example, all the present. Yes, like so you can see after someone validated the recording, so you can go back and like just reveal the present or reveal the absent, and also reveal the unvalidated or the ROIs. We call this each SNP. How do you call in this, Seth? Is SNP? Or each region of interest, each box. Yes. So yeah, so you can make sure that like if you have some doubts, you leave it without any mark, and then you can go back and reveal that later.
Right. Yeah, and then here is the this is the export feature. So once you do have your everything validated as much as you'd like to validate, you can export it, and then you are able to take that data and then analyze that with any other type of pulls a ton of information about the recording, the site, the year, month, day, hour, minute, the species that was present. So you have all this information.
That we are not seeing the Excel file.
Oh, you're not? Oh, okay. Sorry, let's see. It's on my screen, but it's, I think I have to share my, sorry about that. Let's see if I can figure this out.
It might be because you've just selected to share, and sorry, Santiago, who I said was doing it incorrectly. That's our bad. Yeah, you were just, yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so basically this is all the data that is going to be pulled out. You can see the recording that the species is from, the site, year, month, day, hour, minute, the species itself, the name of the species, the song type. So so all this information is pulled out for you that you can take, and you can analyze this further using a different platform or however else you want to analyze it. Okay, I'm gonna unshare this again if I can. Sorry, I'm not used to Teams here. Okay, nope. Okay, sorry about that, guys. Not used to using Teams sharing feature. Okay, so let's see. Should we go back to our jobs? Okay, this one's completed now. So if we want to go back to see that original one that we just kind of pulled up, we would just go back to analysis, pattern matching, and then the best way to get it as quickly as possible is going to be by searching for the timestamp. And so I'm going to just pull this up here, so you can just click anywhere on this line, and you'll be able to see the results here. So, and we kind of already talked about this, so I won't go through this in more detail. I want to make sure we have enough time for questions, since I realize it's already 10 minutes before the hour. So I think we've covered everything so far. So now let's open it up and get some questions going so we can answer your questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much for such a hands-on presentation. So let's just dive straight in with the questions. Robert, you're first up. Oh, you asked your question already. Do you have any follow-ups?
No, actually, Carly answered my question in the chat.
Oh, the beauty of the group chat. Okay, great. And Carly, I believe you also asked a question. Anything you want to add?
Oh my god, I asked like 7 questions in the chat. I don't even know which one was first. What like cloud computing service is this hosted on? Is it like AWS or Azure or something? Like what's this all running on?
Yeah, AWS.
Okay. Is it like integrated, so if someone had data like in an S3, could they like pull it in directly to here, if you get what I'm trying to say?
No, I definitely do. Yeah, no, not yet. I mean, that would be great to be able to do that. We don't have that capability yet, but maybe down the road. Yep, right now the way to get data into Arbimon right now is using either the uploader, which is a desktop-based app that you can download on your desktop, and you can basically run that as a background job. So you can upload your audio that way, or you can also use the browser uploader, which is in Arbimon, which is the same uploader that's been here this whole time. But yeah.
Yeah. I know we've talked. I was like on the live chat with you like the day that this all went live, so you're probably very sick of like hearing my name.
No, it's great. It's great.
So I still continue to have my 2 terabyte hard drive. This is it. I just need this to be like put into the computer. Yeah, that's, and I can't access my university's cloud computing cluster because of COVID, so that's just its own problem. Then I think the other question I had was like if you have really variable calls, either in the time or frequency domain, it seems like the pattern matching works well for like stereotype calls, like bird calls. Those of us who study mammals, they normally sound really obnoxious and not as pretty as birds. Have you tried doing these pattern matching runs with like calls that are variable, and how kind of successful is that? Or do you just use the like random forest or machine learning for those more variable species calls?
So right now we have been working in using the pattern matching for identify birds, frogs, and mammals, and some insects as also. And it all depends, like I said, like the way that you create the template, and the threshold that you're using too. But for me, everything's just, like you just need to play around and make sure that's working for you. We do have the random forest, that's another option. We may be having some other options in the future. So I would say just try it out and let us know. But we have been successful in creating pattern matching for different birds, mammal, frogs, insects, for chainsaw, gunshot, in different environments, from Amazonian environments to more simple environments such as Puerto Rico. So yeah.
Great.
I don't know if I answered your question, but
yeah, no, I just like the lemurs I study have contagious choruses, so a lot of the templates will differ depending on if there's 2 lemurs calling or if there's 10 lemurs calling, and in both they can last for like 10 seconds or they can last for a minute, and depending on like the roars and shrieks, it can be like, and how far they are from the mic, it can be like 2 to 4 kilohertz, or if they're really close to the mic, you can hear the shrieks that go up to 10 kilohertz. And so like there's just a ton of variation.
Right.
So yeah, that's why I ask.
Right, but my suggestion, we have been creating some some pattern matching for gibbons in Sumatra, and they do also like they have like very crazy vocalization. They duet, they sing in group, and for my suggestion is, you know, like even among the gibbons in all this enormous variation, there is always some call, some notes that is more used by that species. So my recommendation is to focus on that, or alternatively, or maybe complementarily, you can use different templates. You know, like you can create different templates for the same species.
Yeah. Can you make multi-template lists? Like, can you run the pattern matching on multiple templates?
Should be template specific. Like for each variation of the template, you need to run like a job.
Okay, gotcha.
Just
speech specific.
Can I jump in and voice for John, who wants to wave his hand and join in and ask, are templates unique to one call type, i.e. for calls for birds which emit up to 4 clear types? Is it possible to combine these in a template to look for all detections of the species?
Yeah, again, I think that the ideal is to create different templates for the different types of call, and then with the CSV file, you can combine all that data for posterior analysis.
Yeah, it's a one-to-one relationship. So if you have one part of the call, it's going to go with one pattern matching job.
Okay, we're going to Carly. We're going to come back to you right at the end if there's time. We're going to move on to the next question. Tatiana?
Yes, the next question is Michael. Are you still in the chat, Michael?
I think I saw him leave. So do you want to just ask it for him, and he'll be able to check in on the recording later?
Will do. So Michael's question was, what about noise mitigation? Is the template set based on part or all of the call?
Sorry, I don't get it again. Can you repeat, please?
Sure. What about noise mitigation? Is the template set based on?
Oh, I think we just lost Tatiana.
Part
So she said, is it based on part of the call or the whole call? And I think the answer would just be, it's based on what you specify. So you're the one that's creating the template. So you would decide if it was part of the call or the whole call. That's my understanding of what he's asking there.
I think that's something we can pick up on WildLabs as well in the chat after, if Michael has a follow-up. Yeah.
Am I back?
I think you are, yes.
Okay, great. I think next is Robin, are you here? Would you like to ask your question?
Hi, yes, I would love to. Thanks for the talk. I'm the bad guy from Europe asking about GDPR. It's maybe connected also to your hosting, and you know that when we upload raw data from our recordings, it's problematic for European projects to upload it with potential human voices up to an US, American, or outside the EU host. How do you treat privacy? How do you treat that? Or is there any chance for Europeans to have like a specific host in Europe?
Yeah, interesting. I can send you our like comprehensive privacy terms. I think that would probably be the best way to answer that, just so you can read through it yourself to see if it if it meets all your needs. But we don't have something specific just for Europe necessarily. So yeah, let's maybe take that offline and see if we can address that question offline with the privacy terms document.
That's great, because I think it's of large interest of a lot of European users, specifically if your like agency or university really wants to see a contract before you're allowed to upload data that potentially has human voices on it. Yeah,
I'm curious, because so if you go to just Arbimon and you go to terms and then privacy also, this is the terms of service, so you can read this and see, because I'm actually curious now, yeah, if it does meet the needs of Europeans. I thought it did, but I have to double check on that.
Great.
Thanks.
So we'll probably pick that up on the WILDLABS thread chat about this episode. It is on the hour. I just wanted to check because we've had quite a lot of questions. I just wanted to check in with Zephyr and Marconi if you're happy to stay a little longer and continue answering some questions. Great.
Definitely.
Well, next up then is Rob, I think.
Me?
You? Yep.
I had like a question, but probably the one that I remember asking is it possible to use this with, it's probably a silly question, but with images at all? Because it seems to me that if you could find some clear patterns in, say, like distance between eyes and nose, for example, in a camera trap image, that you'd be able to do something very similar, which could be really helpful. One of the points that Robert made in the chat was that this seems like a massively useful tool for getting your training data set ready, so you can go through and, like as I think Zephyr said, you started maybe with that idea, but now it's become a kind of an amazing tool by itself. I just wondered if there was some image possibilities maybe, or if that could be something that could be thought about in the future, because I could see a lot of use.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. I mean, right now we don't support, you know, it's audio, so it's acoustic. We're only supporting like ingesting acoustic audio. But yeah, maybe that would be something we could look at in the future if we were to look at supporting like image data. But yeah, that would be a very different type of data that we'd be ingesting. So it would have to be something we'd look at in the future.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Heath.
Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, next is Santiago, who has no mic, so I'll ask his question for him. Santiago asks, regarding the vocalizations with Harmonics, should we include them in the template creation?
Right. So again, that depends on the biology of the species and the ecology of the species. You know, if the species always have that harmonics, so maybe you want to include it. Sometimes for mammals, for example, I think it is very useful to include the harmonics, but for some birds that, you know, like the harmonics are more like artifacts because they are very close to the mic or they are calling very loud next to the mic. So I won't use that. But again, my suggestion is always, you need to play around and see for yourself. You know, I try a model with a template with the harmonics and another one without the harmonics and see how the results are faring out.
Okay, next question is from Gelto. I apologize if I have not pronounced your name correctly. Are you there? And
Hi, I'm there. I hope you can hear me okay. So my question was a bit about the mechanics of the pattern matching. Is there any data augmentation applied during the pattern matching, like morphological closing or openings to alter the pattern, or is it just like the raw matching?
I'm not sure, but I think it's just the matching. I don't think that there is any data augmentation here, right, Zeph?
Okay. Yeah. There's no. It's just a raw pattern.
Okay. Thank you so much for your answer and for the great talk.
Thank you. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Rob, you've got another question now.
Oh man, really? Can you remind me, Tatiana, what?
Yeah. Your question was, can
cost?
No, can this be used or tweaked to be used with image data?
Oh yeah, so that
they already answered that.
Oh right.
But can I just clarify? It is free, right? Like the tool is free, or do you? Amazing. Yep. Okay, that's amazing. Yep. It's an amazing tool, guys. You've done a great job.
Thank you.
I'll stop now.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So that question came with compliments. Next we have Robert.
Well, that kind of segues into my question.
It does nicely.
Is this open source software? And if so, what language is it written in? And are you soliciting contributions from the community?
Great question. So I think like all of our stuff is, you know, we're a nonprofit, so like we're not here to make money. And so we don't currently have it available as like open source in terms of getting contributions from the community. That could be something we explore in the future. Like right now we've been asked for like recently I was asked by a group if they could use the pattern matching tool only, like just the code for the pattern matching tool. But because it's part of like the greater platform, it'd be very difficult to just use that one section of the platform. So it would have to be something that's, you know, publicly available, the whole platform together. So it'd be something we should definitely consider. We've tried doing that in the past. Rainforest Connection, we've had like some of our other software open available to the community, but it just sort of became a bit challenging to kind of manage that process. So yeah, I'll have to give that some thought. So thank you for bringing that up, and we'll keep you posted on that.
But we do have a paper, a publication about the pattern matching. So there you can see all the mathematics and the statistics and all the, you know, like all the data and all the information, the detailed information about the pattern matching and some of other analysis that we are doing right now with the Arbimon.
Is that on your website?
No, but I can follow up. I can send it. Yeah, we need to add it to the website. We're kind of in the process of revamping our website right now. But yes, I can actually, definitely.
Ideally, if it was like a plug-in architecture and for the pattern matching, if you had another way to do it, then you could just submit the library, and then there'd be multiple options for the community.
That'd be super cool. Definitely something to.
And don't get me wrong. That I know how big of a headache managing an open source project is.
Yeah,
I totally understand the reservations.
Yeah, no, it is. But at the same time, we do also like. I'm glad. Thanks, Marconi, for bringing up that article, because that is a great article and it goes into all the details, and anything you could possibly want to know about pattern matching is covered in it. So, what would be the best way, Tatiana, for me to follow up with people to send out that article? Would be something.
I think we update, so we will update the page that you created, the landing page on WILDLABS with the recording from this talk and links to our data wrapper notes, which will have all links, but also I think we'll pop it into the chat. I suspect we're going to have to like cover some of the questions on WILDLABS as well. Ellie's just dropped a link to where we'll update it, that WILDLABS link.
Yeah, definitely. Yes, for sure. Yeah, and then the other thing too, just another quick comment is if you go to Arbimon, there's a chat feature here, and this is manned like during like basically business hours, Pacific time. So if you ever want to just reach out to us, like you can just send us an email or a chat. I'm here. I help man it. We also have a few support team members as well that are working to make sure that we're answering questions as well. So feel free to just reach out to us, or you can also email support@rfcx.org, and me and the team are there to respond. So feel free to reach out to us anytime.
Okay, time for a few more questions, perhaps. Fred has a question next.
Hello, good evening. Thanks for the presentation. Yes, I have a question related to we are using AudioMos to record illegal hunting during the night in a bird reserve, and we would like to use this software to count and recognize the gunshots. It's possible, I suppose, to do this.
Yeah, I would say yes. we have tried to use the pattern matching with gunshot and chainsaw, and we have been successful in using it. So yes, I think so.
Okay, great. We try it.
Awesome. Diego, you're next.
Hello there, do you hear me?
Yes.
My question is regarding, I mean, since I heard Marconi talk about convolutional neural networks in one of his talks, I was wondering if you guys are interested in implementing that method of analysis to RBMon. That would be really interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. I'll answer that. Yeah, so it is part of RBMon right now, but it's only enabled for certain projects. We, as part of this new kind of release of RBMon and doing all the releasing it as available and free for everybody, we opened up pattern matching available to the whole community. So our first step is to really make pattern matching available, make sure that that's something that, you know, is sustainable for us, that we're able to cover, we're able to continue to, you know, operate or offer it as free. And then the CNN will be kind of like the next step. So if we're able to continue to, you know, be sustainable, not have any issues with costs or anything like that, then we'll look at opening up CNN available to the community as well. So it's just a matter of like making sure that we can get, you know, we're supported by grants and foundations and corporate sponsorships, things like that, to make sure that we're allowed to have to make sure that we can continue to make RBMon free. So we'll just kind of see how things go and make sure that we can support that. But yes, we'd love to do that for everybody as well. I think that'd be really powerful for the community to have that available.
Okay, Kelsey, do you have a mic? Can you answer your question? Ask your question.
Sure, thank you. So I was just wondering if there are some ways to use the pattern matching settings to help estimate calling activity or intensity. Would that just be by changing the matches per recording setting, or are there some other ways to kind of get at that kind of question? Thank you.
Yes, that's exactly what you need to do. Just increase the number of matches per recording, and then you can have like a detection count per recording.
Okay. James, your question.
Hi, I'm wondering if the same techniques that you use to separate different species from each other could work within species with specific individuals. So if you had recordings where you knew, for example, individual bird identities, could you train the same system to identify individuals even if they're the same species?
Right. Well, I think I don't know how the best way to answer this. Let me think a little bit. But okay, I think that there is a potential to do that. You know, like, first of all, you need to have like very good recordings. The quality of your recording should be high, and also maybe you should use a high threshold. But again, pattern matching is not artificial intelligence, so you are not providing, you know, like, you can't train the pattern matching to identify that specific individuals. And also, I think it all depends on how easy it is to separate individuals with their calls, right? Like, but for me, that will be a challenge. I never tried. I'm not sure how the pattern matching will fare with identifying individuals in the recordings.
So you would probably recommend using that data set and then going with the machine learning approach for that type of specificity?
Yes, that will be my recommendation. And also for me, you need to have very good recordings. The quality of your recording should be like higher, because, you know, like most of the time, those variation among individuals, they are very subtle, right? So you really need a powerful mic to be able to acquire that signal, and then to create a model to distinguish that signal among other signals.
All right, thank you so much.
Great. I believe Gelto left the meeting. Are you still here? Okay, moving on. Sean McCracken is next. He does not have a mic, so his question is, are there built-in or public templates for gunshots or chainsaws? Could I upload a data set that I want to analyze for these, but don't know if they actually occur in the data set?
Yeah, actually, great news. So we're about to do a release of Arbimon, a new release very shortly, where we're going to be including a public pattern matching template library. And so, so in that library, there's going to be a bunch of templates that that Marconi and our team have already created that are really great templates to use, that everyone will have access to. So you'll be able to take that template and create your own pattern matching job over your own audio. Marconi, I don't know if we have a chainsaw or gunshot template in that library yet. So have you added one in that library yet, or?
Yeah, we do have chainsaw. I'm not sure about the shotgun, but
Okay.
that will be easy for us to acquire because we do have that information from the Guardians.
Yeah, and the exciting thing about this too is that it's a library for anyone to contribute to. So you know, Marconi and Mitch have contributed quite a few templates to it so far, but we also, you know, anybody who's creating templates will be able to contribute to that pattern matching library. So really excited to share that with you guys, and I'll be sending out an email to the community once we have released that to everybody. So stay tuned.
Okay, our last few questions. Gayton?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Can you hear me? Yes. First, sorry because I couldn't arrive earlier. So if you answered already in the video, I will watch it again later. I'm just wondering because I worked on a project in Brazil for chainsaw pattern recognition, and the idea was to send the least possible amount of data to the computer that was doing the pattern recognition. So we wanted to try to do a signature from Fourier transform from analyzing the spectrum, and then I'm wondering if you are using wavelets or so on. We have tried, but after we have been lost in the complexity of this because I'm not expert in this domain, and we have seen later that a lot of algorithms they use more image recognition over spectrogram rather than the sound signature itself. And I was wondering if which one did you choose, or if you have both of them? I don't know if it's clear.
So we use a cross correlation analysis. So this isn't machine learning. So I think what you're talking about is more machine learning, which is, we do use that for the chainsaw, the AI model that we have for analyzing incoming audio from our Guardians. So we have some acoustic sensors called Guardians that we put out into the rainforest, and so that's a different system that we analyze that audio, and then we run it over AI, and then detect sounds of chainsaws and send those alerts to our partners on the ground. So that's actually a separate system than Arbimon. So this tool that we're talking about today, pattern matching, is only using the cross correlation analysis. So it's really just examining one pattern and then comparing that to find other matching patterns in your audio.
So you mean really audio, not like the image from the spectrogram of the audio?
Well, it is matching the image of the spectrogram to other images from other spectrograms from your audio. So yeah, so it's matching those based on the image.
You need to collect the audio first. I mean the real audio. So you not the transform of the audio. So you have the raw audio and entering on your algorithm.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I'm following exactly the question. Sorry, but yeah, I mean we're analyzing the audio based on the spectrogram that's produced from the audio.
Okay.
So we're
okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
Like
okay, thank you very much.
Yeah, sorry. Okay.
No problem.
Okay, Louis is up next.
Hi, thank you for the talk, and I hope you can hear me well. I used to work with the R software, and we used to use a ROC procedure to assess the threshold level of each template. Do you have kind of ROC procedure in Arbimon, or you will put it in? I don't know if you understand me.
Yeah, I can hear you, but I'm not sure that I understand your question. Are you asking if we can? Sorry.
I'm gonna repeat. With R, I use the monitor package, and
monitor.
we use yeah. And there is for each template to assess the threshold, the cutoff, as they call it in. We use a training data set with I don't know, 20 or 30 vocal that we are planning to use to create the template, and we create an Excel table with each time frequencies data of each vocal of the data set, the training data set, and then we use an AUC like I don't know, it's a graph with a false positive on the y-axis and true positive in the x-axis, I think, and it tells you which threshold give you the best ratio between and true positive.
Okay.
And you have to do that for each template, and then you have your threshold done for each template, and then you can run it like that.
Right. I get it now. No, we don't have that feature in Arbimon right now. I think that's a good idea. Right now, if you want to access like some measure of precision and accuracy, and understand how the scores are related with precision and accuracy, you will need to do that manually. But it is possible in Arbimon. You just need to create a playlist. You need to manually validate some recordings, like the same approach that you are using with Monitor R, and then extract that information, and then you can make the decision. But right now, like Zeph, if you pass the mouse under the ROIs, can you pass Zeph?
Yeah.
The mouse under, yeah. You will see. Or sorry. Yeah, you see that each ROI there has its particular score, you know. So it is easy for you to decide, like to see the break and decide. But also, like I said, you can do that manually. We don't have like a feature specific for doing that, but you can do that in Arbimon as well, I think.
Okay, thank you. So I think that I can still use R for that and use my my threshold in your device.
Yeah.
I will.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Okay, John, would you like to ask your question?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, when you went through the I'm sorry if this is included in all the information that I've never looked at it before. I've never got into Arbimon to look at it, so this is completely new. You mentioned about the data set that you have, which is something like 230,000 recordings that you can select from and make a playlist from, etc. I'm working effectively at the other extreme, because I think you said most of those were also 1 minute long. I work on the opposite extreme, which is I take recordings which are normally just over 2 hours long. They're 2 GB files, but they span each night. I'm working on nocturnal bird migration. It's more of a hobby at the moment, but I'm hoping to turn it into something else. Does it work in exactly the same way, even though the file lengths are different, etc., etc.? I mean, it's just more cumbersome to upload them, but you're talking about you need good data sets to work from, maybe 1,000 or something, but possibly it's a very different issue when we're talking about rainforest analysis, sound analysis, compared to a single site analysis looking for particular species. or can it still be used in the same way? Just, well, sorry, the results will be quite different, but can it still be used? Is it flexible enough to deal with that as well?
Right. Zeph, do you want to jump in?
I was gonna ask you too.
Yeah. No, I really didn't get the question. Sorry, John.
Right. Okay. Instead of a huge data set with small sets of recordings that you're looking for matches with, will it also work the opposite extreme of a small number of recordings but over long periods of time?
Yeah, definitely. When you if you have like a huge file, like acoustic file, audio file, when you are going to upload that file in RFCxArbimon are automatically break that in small pieces of 1 minute. But yeah, totally, you can totally do your analysis. It doesn't matter if you have just one side, but you have like for long time. For example, here in Puerto Rico, we have a site in a wetland that we deploy like a permanent station there, acoustic, just like one, because we were interested in monitor endangered frog species. So we are going to use RFCxArbimon to see like you say, like some seasonal patterns, some like some long-term tendencies and trends. So yeah, that's totally possible using RFCxArbimon. Definitely. Yeah.
Excellent. Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to add one more plug in there, the soundscape analysis is a great way to look at things longer term. So we could maybe do a whole other talk on the soundscape analysis, but that would be a great way to be able to actually compare activity over like a year or over a 6-month period. So another powerful tool that you can use in RFCxArbimon to do that.
Great. Unfortunately, we're going to have to make John's question our last one, but feel free to continue the conversation in the WILDLABS thread that I just posted to the chat. Big thank you to Zephyr and Marconi for such a comprehensive presentation today and for staying on to hear some of our audience questions. As usual, once the recording stops, people will probably stick around and have some after hours conversations. Everyone's more than welcome to join for that if they wish. And then Tech Tutors will be returning for our 4th episode on the 7th of January 2021 after the holiday break. So make sure to keep your eyes peeled, have a look at our website and our Twitter feed to see more updates about that. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks everybody.
Thank
Great
you.
session. Thank you. Hope that was
Thanks,
helpful.
guys.